The history of Karbala, centered around the martyrdom of Imam Hussain, is one of the most defining events in Shia Islam, resonating deeply within the hearts of Muslims, especially within the Shia tradition. This tragic event took place in 680 CE on the plains of Karbala, located in present-day Iraq. Imam Hussain, the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad and the son of Imam Ali and Lady Fatima, stands as a central figure in Islamic history for his refusal to yield to injustice and his unwavering commitment to uphold the principles of Islam. His stand against Yazid, who had claimed leadership over the Muslim Ummah, symbolized a powerful stance for truth and righteousness against tyranny. The journey to Karbala began with a series of events rooted in the political developments that followed the Prophet Muhammad's death. After the death of the Prophet, the Muslim community saw a division regarding who should lead, which eventually crystallized into the divide between the supporters of the caliphs and those who believed in the divinely appointed leadership of Imam Ali and his progeny. The Umayyad dynasty came to power under Muawiya, who had become the ruler of Syria and later took control of the entire Islamic state. Muawiyah's rule was marked by numerous policies that deviated from the Prophet's teachings, often criticized for encouraging practices contrary to Islamic principles. Before his death, Muawiyah sought to ensure his son Yazid's succession, marking a significant departure from previous methods of leadership, as Yazid's character and values were widely seen as incompatible with Islamic ethics. When Yazid ascended to power, he demanded that Imam Hussain pledge allegiance to him, knowing that the moral and spiritual influence of Hussain posed a threat to his legitimacy. Yazid's character, known for his indulgent lifestyle and neglect of religious values, stood in stark contrast to the purity and piety of Imam Hussain. Imam Hussain, however, refused to accept Yazid's rule, believing it would signify the validation of tyranny and corruption within the Islamic community. For Imam Hussain, the very soul of Islam was at stake. To acquiesce to Yazid's rule would be to compromise the integrity of the faith. As a result, Imam Hussain chose resistance, understanding the likely consequence of his refusal would be his own death and the suffering of his family. In response to Imam Hussain's refusal, Yazid ordered that he be subdued by force. To avoid bloodshed in his birthplace of Medina, Imam Hussain, along with his family and a small band of supporters, embarked on a journey towards Kufa, a city in Iraq where he had received letters of support from its residents who were discontented with Umayyad rule. However, Yazid's governor intercepted this movement, ensuring that the people of Kufa were intimidated and prevented from joining or supporting Hussain. Imam Hussein's path was then blocked, leading to his encampment in the desert of Karbala on the 2nd of Muharram, 61 AH. For days, Imam Hussain and his companions faced escalating pressure and eventual siege by Yazid's forces. The small camp of Hussein's followers, numbering around 72, included women, children, and elderly people, outnumbered and outarmed by Yazid's army of thousands. As tensions heightened, Yazid's forces denied them access to water, hoping to break their resolve by thirst. Despite this harsh tactic, Imam Hussain remained steadfast, unwilling to concede. On the 10th of Muharram, known as Ashura, the situation reached a tragic climax. The battle began in the early morning and continued until the afternoon, marked by an unequal fight between a massive army and a handful of Hussein's devoted companions. One by one, Hussein's supporters went to the battlefield, each showing remarkable bravery and faith, knowing they would die but choosing to uphold the principles of justice and loyalty to Islam over their lives. Imam Hussein's family members, including his 18-year-old son Ali Akbar, his nephews, and even his 6-month-old infant son, Ali Asghar, became martyrs in Karbala. Imam Hussein's commitment to his cause shone most clearly in his own actions and words on the battlefield. Even when faced with his imminent death, Hussein's resolve did not waver. His final moments were a profound testament to his faith as he addressed the forces of Yazid, reminding them of the grave error of their ways in his mission to uphold the teachings of his grandfather, the Prophet. Eventually, he fell to the ground, dying a martyr's death in an act of ultimate sacrifice. The aftermath of Karbala was marked by deep sorrow and a sense of betrayal for the survivors. Hussein's sister, Zainab, and his son, Imam Zainul Abidin, were among those captured and taken to Yazid's court in Damascus. Zainab, despite the trauma and suffering she had endured, delivered powerful speeches condemning Yazid's actions and exposing his tyranny, making her one of the first voices to bear witness to the atrocities of Karbala and ensure that Imam Hussein's sacrifice would not be forgotten. Through her bravery and eloquence, the message of Karbala spread across the Muslim world, igniting sentiments of resistance and calls for justice against oppressive rulers. For Shia Muslims, the martyrdom of Imam Hussain is more than an event in history. It embodies the eternal struggle between good and evil, truth and falsehood. Every year, during the month of Muharram, Shia Muslims around the world commemorate the events of Karbala with deep reverence. They engage in rituals of mourning, recite poetry, and participate in processions that recount the suffering of Hussein and his family, not merely as a historical recount but as a deeply felt reenactment of the principles Imam Hussain stood for. The remembrance, called majlis or gatherings, helps to reinforce the values of justice, sacrifice, and steadfastness against oppression that Imam Hussain exemplified. The legacy of Karbala has inspired countless movements for social justice, resilience, and freedom. Imam Hussein's stand is often interpreted as a message for all people, regardless of religious belief, that the pursuit of justice and righteousness may demand great sacrifices. In Shia thought, Hussein's martyrdom is viewed as a divine plan, serving as a reminder of the need to constantly revive the spirit of Islam and ensure that it does not become corrupted by worldly ambitions. The phrase "every day is Ashura" and "every land is Karbala" captures the timeless relevance of his struggle, urging believers to stand up against oppression in all its forms. Karbala's story thus transcends the confines of history, becoming a powerful symbol of ethical resistance and human dignity. Imam Hussein's refusal to pledge allegiance to Yazid was not merely a political stance but a profound assertion.